So last week, due to some technical problems in trying to put together a review of the live-action Japanese samurai movie known as The Sword of Doom, instead it sort of ended up as an accidental but catastrophic deletion of that entire project for this channel. So instead, I present to you Dominion Tank Police. Now, I am reviewing the original Dominion Tank Police OVA 4-part series that was animated by Agent 21. Over the years, there have been different variations and sequels, but I'm largely concentrating on the one that came out in 1988 and is largely based on Masamune Shirow's manga of the same name. The basic background of the story is that there is an ever-present toxic cloud of pollution that just sits over Newport City, Japan, where too much exposure will cause sickness and death if you breathe it in without a face filter. Yeah, you need a face filter in order to go outside to get groceries. Crime is rampant within the city, and the city's leading police agency seems to be more adept at causing massive destruction than in actually apprehending criminals. This police agency is known as the Dominion Tank Police. So the plot has the main criminal, Baku, with the aid of his partners in crime, which are two half-human, half-puma former exotic strippers, breaking into a special type of hospital with no patients that produces a special kind of urine, which is supposed to help create a gene that is in turn supposed to help force mankind into in the next evolution step where they can live with this ever-present toxic cloud hanging over them. Baku was hired initially by corporate interests to steal this urine so that they can either halt the production of this or somehow find a way to profit it on its own. So now enter the Tank Police. This is a violent group of misfits led by a Captain Brenton, and they're not much better than the criminals that they're supposed to apprehend. Included in this really odd grouping of police tankers are a scientist with a slight German accent, there's a wannabe priest, a nice wholesome new guy called Al, and you are also introduced to Leona, the only woman to ever join the Tank Police. And while she's very sweet, but she's quite motherly towards her little tiny tank that she calls Napoleon, and she's very quick to anger if there's so much a scratch appears on her little tiny tank. Oh, and just a side note, Captain Brenton is somewhat psychotic. Eventually, the Tank Police figure out the reasoning for the crimes being committed by Baku's gang, and the rest of the series focuses on their pursuit of Baku. However, Baku has his own very personal reasons for the number of heists he's been committing so far. The animation is actually pretty good, especially for the year that it came out in. It was produced in 1988. Came out about the time that anime was developing better, more sophisticated techniques and technologies that made animation more detailed, and there was better fluidity within the action sequences of the actual animation. This was late in the 1980s, so CGI and other modes of computer animation pretty much didn't exist for the most part, so that's why I say the animation is pretty good. The story is also very good. Keep in mind that when the Tank Police manga was being published, it was at the height of a literary genre called cyberpunk. This anime has a huge cyberpunk feel to it. Talks about technology, the good and evil of it, interfacing of humans and technology, blah blah blah, etc. You get the idea. It's all very, very intellectual and interesting. Now, you may have noticed a couple things in this review that may seem familiar, and if you watch the anime, there are definitely things that will be familiar to you. Obviously, Masamune Shirow also wrote Ghost in the Shell, and Dominion Tank Police is sort of a dry run for the Ghost in the Shell series, both in manga and in anime. The Ghost in the Shell first movie, the first one, takes place in Newport City, just like this is Newport City for Dominion Tank Police. Tachikomas actually make their debut in Tank Police, and there are actual certain characters from Tank Police that get cameos and small roles in the Ghost in the Shell franchise. Notably, the two sexy half-human, half-puma former exotic strippers also appear in Ghost in the Shell as well. So if I sound like this is a really good thing that you should watch, you really should watch this OVA. It's just, I really enjoy it. It just so happens that Dominion Tank Police is the first animated series, in addition to watching Akira, that really got me hooked into anime. So if you're a fan of Ghost in the Shell, you will be a fan of Dominion Tank Police. So I'm going to tell you right now, go out there, find Dominion Tank Police, the original OVA, go out there, find it, and watch it, and enjoy it.
No mercy! You really asked for it, you bastard!
Be merciful, my child. Which would our Lord say is more valuable, the life of a miserable sinner or a tank?
Well, a tank, of course.
Right. Thanks be to God for letting thy lamb hear the true word that giveth the tank police the power which it needs to carry on the struggle.